I never thought a single word could haunt me, but the night she smiled across the table and called me crazy, I felt the sting like fire under my skin. Because it wasn't just the insult, it was the smug way she said it, like she was untouchable, like I was nothing more than a paranoid fool inventing ghosts to explain her absence. And for a second, I almost believed her. Almost let myself drown in doubt. But then I remembered the glowing truth in my pocket. Her GPS, her location, the cold, unblinking witness that never lied. And suddenly her smirk didn't scare me anymore. It fueled me. For weeks that she had been spinning her narrative, telling her friends I was controlling, dismissing my questions with laughter, brushing me aside with kisses that tasted like ash, while all the while her phone lived face down on the counter, buzzing late at night, meetings running longer than any office stayed open, perfume that didn't belong to me lingering on her skin, and I stayed silent, swallowing my pride, letting her think she was winning. But I was watching, I was waiting, and every time her little red dot drifted across the map to a place she shouldn't be, I etched it into memory, like a blade waiting to strike. The first night it happened, I felt my chest collapse, watching her car icon glow outside a hotel when she swore she was at work, and I sat in the dark, phone in hand, tears burning my eyes, fury pounding in my ears, and I wanted to call her right then, scream, expose the lie, but I didn't, because proof without timing is just noise, and I wanted silence. I wanted her to reveal herself in her own arrogance. She came home past midnight with that same sweet mask, heels dangling from her fingers, whispering about deadlines, her lips brushing mine, and I smiled back, all while her betrayal pulsed in my hand, every movement mapped, every lie already uncovered. And it was in that moment I realized I didn't have to fight her words anymore because her actions would eventually betray her louder than I ever could. Days blurred together, her patterns repeating, the red dot never failing, and with every lie she told, I grew calmer, colder, harder, until one evening when she smirked at me again, glass of wine in her hand, eyes gleaming with mockery, she said, "You're crazy, you know that? You imagine things because you can't handle my freedom." And instead of arguing, instead of begging, I leaned in, voice low enough to slice through her confidence, and whispered, "Your GPS tells a different story." Her hand froze mid-air, the wine trembling, her eyes flickering with the faintest crack in her perfect mask. And in that split second, I saw fear, real fear, the kind you can't fake. And for the first time in months, I felt the power shift, not because I shouted, not because I begged, but because the one thing she thought was hidden was already mine to hold. She laughed it off at first, that nervous, high-pitched sound she used when cornered, tried to paint me as a stalker in my own home, accusing me of invading her privacy, as if her betrayal was less of a crime than my discovery of it. But no matter how she spun it, the truth was carved into digital stone, unmovable, undeniable, and she knew it. The aftermath came fast, her apologies dripping like poison one day, her anger exploding the next, slamming doors, hurling insults, accusing me of obsession. But I didn't bite. I let her unravel, let her choke on her own lies, because for once I wasn't the fool chasing after scraps of honesty. I was the man standing still while she spun herself into the ground. Family started to notice. Friends whispered. The image she had crafted of the devoted wife with a demanding job crumbled under the weight of suspicion. And when questions came, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even speak. I only had to tilt my phone screen towards the map, the blinking truth filling the silence until no words were needed, and the shame was hers alone to bear. Her lover disappeared. As they always do, men like him love the thrill, but vanish when the fire burns too close, and she was left stranded, her mask shattered, her confidence fractured, while I, the man she mocked as crazy, stood untouched, stronger, freer than I had been in years. And in that freedom, I found clarity, because when you live in lies long enough, truth feels like oxygen, painful at first, raw against the lungs, but cleansing. And I realized I didn't need her explanations, didn't need her tears or her excuses, because the evidence was all I ever needed, and it had already spoken louder than she ever could. Now, when she tries to twist the story, to paint herself as the victim, I don't argue, I don't defend. I only smile because the truth has already stripped her bare, and she knows it. Every time our eyes meet, she sees the reflection of her own downfall in me. and it terrifies her more than my silence ever did. She called me crazy, but in the end, her GPS told me everything. And it didn't just expose her lies. It set me free, because I'm no longer her pawn, no longer her fool. I'm the man who walked away from the wreckage, not broken, but awake. Not the victim, but the victor.